What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, a new chase figure may have just been created. The Artisan Loki from the Loki television show from Hot Toys has come out for pre-order, but we also got a sculpted version, and I'm wondering, in terms of this or that, what you guys chose, because I've got some thoughts not only on the Artisan figure itself, but the line and the sculpted version. So guys, stick around. If you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
So I think the first thing to really address is I loved the Loki show. I know it was divisive the first season especially, but really I found that it picked up its stride in season 2. Now, I finished that season, and seeing God Loki, or the God of Stories, come to life, I thought was really, really cool, and I liked the story of the season, especially the way they ended it. I thought it was an appropriate end, honestly, even for Kang and his storyline, if that's over, and we'll see with Jonathan Majors and the controversy that surrounds that person. But in the meantime, there's still a bit of a question mark on the state of Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I thought Loki was one of the best stories for a character in the MCU that's existed. Kind of akin to Tony Stark's journey as a character, some of his emotional catharsis. You think about how he starts, right? He's kind of a dick, only cares about himself, and by the end of his journey, he's snapping himself for half the population of existence. And honestly, I think Loki has a very similar arc. Now, of course, you could argue with Loki here, he's kind of split, because the Loki we get to know who self-sacrifices a little bit is also the version that technically is killed by Thanos, and then this version of Loki is technically a variant of that original, but in my opinion also has just as powerful of a story, if not more powerful, ultimately bringing him to be the God of Stories. So all of that being said, this figure announced last night, and it was like midnight for me. It was too late to make a video, but I was immediately astounded by the likeness to Tom Hiddleston. I mean, let's be honest here. This is by far the best likeness that we've got. I was really impressed with my TVA Loki. Not only does that figure come with some cool shit, I thought that was by far the best Tom Hiddleston likeness, and I think up to this version, I would still 100% make that argument. Now, you could make the argument this is still a prototype, this isn't a final, but I do have a feeling that this is going to still come out extremely well. I did a side-by-side comparison here with my TVA Loki, which is a picture in my lightbox with my camera work. Lighting definitely plays a factor, but I definitely see differences in the face sculpts here. This isn't just a recreation of TVA Loki's sculpt like some people are speculating. This is definitely new sculpting. You can see it in the brow, the lips, the nose. It's improved. But do you need the Artisan version? Because the Artisan came out as well as the sculpted version, and just like we've seen with Hot Toys do this now a couple of times, we got that sculpted and Artisan basically at the same release. Now, there was a 2,500 limit on the release for the Artisan line, and it always releases for me in the middle of the day when I'm at work, so it's really hard for me to actually get it. But in the same vein, when I saw the photos last night, I gotta say, of the Artisan rooted hair photos that we've seen now, because keep in mind, unless you count the Wonder Woman 100 as kind of that initial test at the water, we haven't actually got an Artisan figure in hand yet, so we don't really know what we're paying for until we finally get it. And I hope this video ages poorly. I hope that I can eat my words. I hope that the Artisan line comes out and is spectacular, because I'm a Hot Toys fan. But on the other hand, since we haven't actually had one in hand yet, the Artisan version is coming in at about $160 more than the standard version. And one of the things that I like most about the standard version, which I didn't have to race to get in line for, is the hairline. Tom Hiddleston, the actor, is losing his hair. I love the actor, I think he's awesome, but he's losing his hair. He's getting receding hairlines, and they've gotten more dramatic as the course of time has happened. That's the natural fact of aging. He's not a god in real life. So I honestly think the sculpted version illustrates that hairline better. And there's more depth to the hair. I like the sculpting quite a lot. And at $290 for the standard version, you still get virtually then everything else. And so my question is there a reason for this release to either now chase the Artisan on the aftermarket? Because with the 2500 and it being a limited number, that window was this afternoon. I missed it. I'm sure many of you guys missed it. But some of you may still decide you want to chase it on the aftermarket, and let's be honest, scalpers are getting their hands on that, or honestly, people who just got it in their basket to see if they could get it and see what the market value becomes on it might sell it for more. So with this being a new kind of chase release, is it worth it? Well, it comes with virtually the same accessories between those price points. So really that $160 is for the rooted hair. Now, you can argue customized hair, if you take a head sculpt that's sculpted and you want to get it rooted by a professional custom rooted artist, whatever they're called, you're going to pay probably $200 to $400 for that, depending on their skill level. So for $160, you could argue this is better than me having to take it aftermarket. You can also say that this will likely retain their value on the Artisan line because of that limited 2500, and I might agree with that, except that I do think that having the standard release with virtually everything else that's the same still diminishes the value of Artisan. If Artisan line could be numbered, I think that would give it more value. Now, people have told me numbering figures doesn't make sense, Hot Toys will never do it. But I do think it would add an element of collectability to it. It would keep the transparency of the limited release numbers really available for collectors. And having a little numbered plaque on it, for me, with the rooted hair, might actually be worth that extra money. But I don't think it would be either, because I got into Hot Toys to collect the most realistic version of the actor playing that character. And you could argue, well, characters don't have sculpted hair, Ben. True, but the sculpting on this particular release I actually think is superior. So I'm curious what you guys think. Did you just get the Artisan line figure here today with Loki because he was limited? Do you actually like the hair more? In my opinion, it's too thick at the top. It doesn't show his receding hairline enough. There is the one picture here that shows it a little bit more, but I think it's not as extreme. I don't think it's dark enough. I don't think it's greasy enough. I don't think it's, like, honestly, losing hair enough. So it would require a little bit of futzing, but when does rooted hair not require futzing? My in-art Jokers also required a little bit of futzing, and that's a spectacular release in itself, in a different company, of course. But it does remain to be seen. What will the quality of Artisan look like for Hot Toys? Will it be worth that extra money? Maybe if it's just because it's more collectible. And at the end of the day, this is a collecting hobby. So it is cool to have something on your shelf that not everybody can get. I can see the appeal there. But I also want a lot of things. And for me, that extra money spent particularly on this release, I don't think is necessary. I think I could take that money and put it towards something else that I want more to add to the collection. Even recently, we saw the Jack Sparrow Artisan versus the sculpted version, and there were photos where I couldn't tell what I was actually looking at, with the exception of the cloth bandana on the figure. I thought that was wild, because the Artisan version of Jack was so much more expensive than the sculpted, and once again, I opted to go sculpted, because it still had some of those strands of hair that made it look real, but otherwise I liked the look of it more. I thought it was more accurate looking, despite it being made of plastic and not rooted hair. So the other question I have for you guys is rooted hair kind of just a now thing? Is it only relevant now because InArt came to the market with their own rooting, and of course Hot Toys had to compete with that? The other thing that I've noticed about Artisan is the cost being so high. This is clearly a way for Hot Toys to drive some traffic to their websites that distribute their figures, right? I mean, it's obvious. Hot Toys is a company. They want to make money. For a while there was this consideration that maybe we shouldn't even pre-order anymore, because what's the point? Everything's losing value. Everything's just sitting. Well, they changed that on us pretty quickly, within about 6 months. And now, with limited releases, what it does is honestly it gets us in the queue, because who doesn't want to see if they can win the lottery and get one in their basket? But if you don't, how quickly do you then pull the trigger on the sculpted version? I know myself, I've done that now twice. on figures that maybe otherwise in the past I would have actually held off buying. So it's been a smart business move for Hot Toys, but they better deliver on the quality. Because let's be honest, as a collector community who already pays a lot of money for these figures, if that line comes out and it's not astounding, I think people might feel a little ripped off. And of course, rooted hair requires so much more maintenance. So then you have figures in your collection that you feel potentially aren't the quality you expected for the cost you spent, and you have to brush their hair. There's some risk there, but I hope to be wrong. Because again, I'm a huge Hot Toys fan, and at the end of the day, this figure looks amazing, the robes look amazing. I don't love the green effects. I do for the character itself and the scene that it's trying to portray, but I always find those things to be pretty brittle, so I'm a little bit worried I'm going to end up breaking them. Be careful with them, obviously, maybe warm them up a little bit with the hand sculpts to get them in properly. I think the throne is awesome. I hate the base that it comes with, and most of the photos here that I'm seeing, it looks like the throne is actually right on the base, so I'm hoping it's not like permanently affixed. I doubt it, but I hope not, because I want to be able to take that throne off and just have it kind of sitting out with the figure, or having him literally sit in the throne, and how could you not, right? So, and I like 1/6 scale furniture with figures. I think it just adds to kind of the scene you're trying to portray. Lastly, how many Lokis does one person need? Now, you can make the argument, Loki's actually one character where we have seen multiple versions of the character. I mean, the Loki show did a great job of that, and Hot Toys has done a great job of giving us lots of versions. My current figures are the endgame Loki, the one with the slick back hair without the helmet on. I've got him with the mask on, holding the Tesseract and handcuffs, essentially the version that warps multiverses and becomes variant Loki. So they're kind of standing beside each other, kind of like the scene that takes him there with the Tesseract, and then what he becomes in Loki. So for me, I actually think a third version, kind of that God Loki version, could be a really cool progression from kind of the endgame look through to TVA, through to his final look, his, most powerful version. Could be a cool display. But how many Loki figures maybe do you already have in your collection? Are you trying to unload a few in order to get these now in the collection? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. But my final take on this figure is, for me, if it's this being the Artisan and that being the sculpted, it's that all day. That's the version I locked in. I did, in all honesty, miss the window for the Artisan on this one, but I wasn't actually that upset about it. I saved some money, and I think I got the version I like more. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What version did you pick up? Why? Why not? What was your justification on the price? Was it just because it's a limited factor, or because you actually like the rooted hair version more? You think it looks cooler? I would like to hear from you guys, especially on this one, because I want to know what the future of Artisan looks like. Just like we didn't know what DX was going to give us back in the day, and then they confused the DX line for a while. How's the Artisan line going to go once we get some of these figures in hand? I can't honestly wait to see it, because I'm a huge fan and a big nostalgic nerd, and I love Hot Toys. I love your faces. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.